ingress, how do you get into the rocket? Egress, how do you get out of the rocket? We go over emergency procedures. We want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with the flight. And we cover everybody's favorite, what we call zero-G etiquette. What does that mean? It means when you're up over the Kármán line and you're floating about, we want to make sure that you're able to control yourself. You don't need as much force when you're up there floating about, so we want to prepare you so that, again, you and your crewmates can enjoy the flight as much as possible. Then, the next day, the time for a flight of a lifetime, you'll lift off. You're going to enjoy 3 Gs on the way up there, on the way up towards space. We'll let you unbuckle, of course, at apogee. You'll gaze out of those windows and maybe turn some somersaults like our friend there in the video. After the 4 minutes, we're going to ask that you get back into your seats. You will rebuckle, come down under the 3 parachutes, and as noted, just in the last milliseconds, we fire that retro thrust system. Kicks up a lot of dust down here in Texas. We're constantly shining up our boots, but you could come in for a nice landing at 1 or 2 miles an hour. And there it is. Soft landing, but ruckus celebration. But when you come fly with Blue Origin, that is not where it ends. We are going to make sure that our customers that fly with New Shepard get the opportunity, they get first dibs on tickets on New Glenn, which is our orbital rocket, which will be flying by the end of 2020. So eventually we'll be flying people on New Glenn, which is really exciting. In fact, just getting in a human spaceflight with New Shepard, I feel like I can taste it. We're marching there progressively, step by step. It's going to be an incredible opportunity for everybody. I don't know about you, but it, in fact, has been a dream of mine since I've been a little girl. All right, you are joining us live. We are at T-minus 3 minutes and 20 seconds left to launch. Coming to you from West Texas, we're looking forward to the 8th launch of the New Shepard test flight program. It is the second time that we'll be flying this rocket and this capsule in particular. It is also the second time that we'll have payload customers on board. And last but not least, we will be pushing the system. We want to see that capsule go up to 350,000 feet above ground level. Normally speaking, we fly the rocket over the Kármán line, the internationally recognized line of space. That's about 100 kilometers, or about 330,000 feet. So as we've noted before, step by step ferociously, that's how we plan our test program as well, and today is no exception. All right, we have entered into a brief hold here. Again, just want to make sure that our teams are aligned and that the weather is all set to go for New Shepard's flight to space. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. We have come out of the hold. Countdown clock resumes. We're at T-minus 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Looks like we may have gone into another hold. Again, this is all normal. You know, we recognize that here at Blue, we spend years designing this rocket, We spend months designing and preparing for these missions, hours getting her ready, and that's why in the last minutes, if we need to take a little bit more time to make sure that we're all set to go, it's absolutely worth it. All right, we have cleared the hold. We're at T-minus 2 minutes to go. At this point, at T-minus 2 minutes, is when we basically throw the show over to the rocket. It's an autonomous system, so at that point, it starts to go through all its checks on its own. At this point, though, we've gone into another brief hold. Again, just want to make sure that the rocket's set to go, weather's set to go, and our team is set to go. While we have a second here, I want to again send a special thank you to our payload customers that are on board today. This is the second time that we're flying payload customers. They come to us, in fact, from around the world. I should note that's one of my favorite things about working here at Blue. When we say that we're opening up space, we're opening up space for everybody. Millions of people living and working in space. This is going to be a global effort, everybody. Thank you, everybody, again for staying with us. We are at T-minus 1 minute and 58 seconds. We are in a hold here as our systems get ready to go. Again, this is the 8th test mission in our New Shepard test program. We are pushing the envelope today. We want to go to 350,000 feet with this capsule. That is higher than we have ever flown before. Also, we want to give our payload customers a great ride. In fact, the way that New Shepard works, the flight profile, gives our payload customers really clean Gs. It goes basically straight up, straight down. It's a tight parabola, which means you get a really nice, clean, let's say, bubble of clean micro Gs, and that's perfect for our scientific experiments that are in there that really want those clean Gs. The other great thing is they actually can gain access to their payloads relatively quickly. So as soon as we've landed, we get the teams right out there for them to check out their experiments. We are at T-minus 1 minute and 58 seconds. Again, we're in a brief hold. Want to make sure that the team and the rocket and the weather are all set to go here for the launch. You know, we talked about what it takes to get the rocket prepared and out here on the pad, but let's back up the clock and let's talk about what's happened just a couple of hours ago. So early in the morning, we roll the rocket out from what we call our vertical processing facility, or what we like to call down here the barn, and we roll it 2 miles north to the launch pad. Basically the same truck, if you will, that brings the rocket out there also turns the rocket vertical. So we call it our transporter erector. We then, of course, connect all the cabling and all the tubing. We want to make sure that everything is set to go. In the hours leading up to the launch itself, of course, we do all the subsystem checks on the rocket. We also, of course, fuel up the rocket, make sure that the pressures are all set to go and nominal for the launch itself. Something to note with New Shepard, we've actually designed the system for us to be able to roll out the rocket and roll her back in only 14 hours. We call it 14 hours barn to barn. So it means we can roll her out, launch her, land her, recover the rocket and the capsule, and bring it back to the vertical processing facility in only 14 hours. And the kicker is that we do it with only 30 people. If you think back to historic rocket missions, they were doing this with hundreds of people, thousands of people, and we do it with 30 people. Building that efficiency into the system, into the operations, is something that we've thought about from the very beginning when designing New Shepard. Because with that efficiency, of course, comes lower costs. And we want to make sure that we're pushing those lower costs down to our customers because, again, the key to opening up space for everybody is lowering the cost of access to space, both for the payloads, the infrastructure, as well as the people. And so that is what we're doing with New Shepard, and of course what we'll also be doing with New Glenn, our orbital rocket, which again is set to launch by the end of 2020. We're taking a lot of the lessons from New Shepard and we're rolling them into New Glenn as we speak, especially I should say for the first stage of New Glenn. The New Glenn rocket will be a two-stage rocket, and the first stage will come into land, and so these same design elements go into the first stage of New Glenn. Thank you everybody for joining us again. We are at T-minus 1 minute and 58 seconds. You're watching live from West Texas, on the brink of another exciting test launch of our New Shepard rocket. We're in a brief hold before launch here. Again, just want to make sure that our teams are aligned and that the weather is within bounds for a nice flight up to space and back, of course, for both our rocket and the capsule. right, thanks everybody for staying with us here. We're at T-minus 1 minute and 55 seconds. We continue to be in a bit of a hold here. I understand it's going to be a little bit of a longer hold, but that's okay. We want to take advantage of this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about New Glenn. So one of the reasons why we test New Shepard and test her a lot is because, as noted, we're going to roll those lessons into the design of New Glenn. So if you think about it, it's a subscale for that program as well. So let's go into what New Glenn looks like. Got a great animation here of New Glenn. You see those people there for scale. This is going to be a very big rocket, and when I say big rocket, 313 feet tall and 23 feet in diameter. That's also 7 feet in diameter. So it also means that our payload fairing, we're going to be able to carry that much more in there, twice as much capacity, volume capacity as anything else that are on the market. We're going to be flying this rocket out of Cape Canaveral, Florida. As noted, that first stage is going to come back down and land. That's, again, the subscale element, let's say, of how New Shepard is the subscale of New Glenn. This two-stage rocket is going to launch. The first stage is powered by 7 BE-4 engines. That's 550,000 pounds of thrust per engine. The BE-4, 3.85 million pounds of thrust on liftoff. 2 BE-3Us, upper stage variants of the BE-3 will power the second stage. The first stage, when it comes back to land, you see that center engine will relight, and it actually comes into land on a moving ship. Why do we like ships? We like the moving ship because it's actually more stable than a barge out there, which means that we can actually launch and land in higher sea states, and which it means that we can have a more reliable schedule for our customers when they come fly with us. We actually currently have 8 launches already accounted for by our New Glenn customers. Looking forward to, in particular, we just announced 2 more customers, Sky Perfect JSAT and MuseSpace. We announced that satellite 2018 just a couple of months ago. Thank you again to them. Looking forward to flying you just a couple of years here. Let's talk a little bit about our facilities down there in Cape Canaveral, Florida. That is such a large rocket that we've decided to build the rocket not far from where we launch it. So as the crow flies, as we say, it's about 8 or 9 miles from the manufacturing facility to the launch complex. Moving from left to right, basically what we do is we take the raw materials in, and out the other end comes a rocket. Again, a very large rocket means a very large facility, 750,000 square feet. It's also our mission control center, which we've put there in one of the corners. And so we can do everything from that facility. Now, once the rocket is complete, we take the rocket to the Launch Complex 36. It's a former Atlas pad. We are basically completely redoing the pad for our large rocket. At that complex, we're going to have the integration facility where we integrate the encapsulated payload with the completed rocket. It's also, of course, you see there on the right side where that crane is. That's going to be essentially where the launch tower is. You see the propellant farm going in. There's a lot of LNG that is needed, liquefied natural gas for the BE-4s. So there's going to be a lot of propellant tanks there. Also, at that launch complex, we'll be putting our refurbishment facility where we're going to refurbish our first stage of New Glenn. Again, coming together nicely for New Glenn's maiden flight by the end of 2020. That should be very exciting. All you down there at the Cape, when New Glenn takes off, again, 3.85 million pounds of thrust, you are going to feel it. It's going to make a rumble, let's be honest. All right, let's talk a little bit more about those BE-4 engines. Well underway into testing. We do the engine testing right down here in West Texas, just about a mile from where we're sitting here. We have 2 major test stands, the largest of which is where we test the BE-4. Our first hot fire of the full engine was last October. Subsequently have done a lot more testing on this engine. our longest fire, 114 seconds. We have gone up to 70% power, which is very exciting. Not only are we happy with how far we've gotten in the power setting, but also in the throttleability, which we've tested. We noted the importance of the throttleability on the BE-3 for New Shepard, but it's also very important, of course, as we come to bring into land the New Glenn's first stage. We need that same throttleability for a nice, soft landing. I've told you about how we've got all this Texas dust down here in West Texas at our facility. You can see it also there in the burns at our test facilities. It gets everywhere. So noted, when you see the crew capsule come back to land today, it's going to kick up the dust with the retrothrust system, but that is a good thing. It means that our the landing cushion, if you will, is working properly. It gives a nice soft landing for our customers, and of course today for Mannequin Skywalker, who is on board for his second flight to space. All right, we are at T-minus 1 minute and 20 seconds to go here before launch. We are out of our holds. Thank you for joining us. Again, this is the 8th launch of this test program. You see the rocket going through its aft fin checks. The engine is going to do a gimbal check. We want to make sure it's got free range of motion. It's important as we guide the rocket up, but of course down to land softly on our landing pad. All right, once we get under 1 minute, with every tick of the clock going down, my heart races even faster. Nothing like a rocket launch to do that to you. All right, it's time to hand it over to Mission Control and listen in on the final countdown. It is go time, New Shepard.
Guidance to internal. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Command engine start. 2, 1.
Listen to that engine rumble. Mission Control has confirmed New Shepard has cleared the tower on its way to space from the West Texas desert. All right, our first milestone here, as you can see on the left side of your screen, we're going to hit max Q. That's the point where aerodynamic stresses on the vehicle are at its maximum. Max Q confirmed. You can also follow along on the top right of your screen. Watch New Shepard as she gains speed towards our maximum apogee altitude of 350,000 feet today. Thank you again for joining us live for the 8th mission in this New Shepard test program. Launch is looking nominal from here. Look at that clean burn on the BE-3 engine. Our next milestone is going to be main engine cutoff. We're going to cut off that BE-3 engine. All right, MECO confirmed, main engine cut off confirmed. If you are an astronaut in our capsule, at this point, this one you're going to start to feel that weightlessness. Next up, we're going to separate the crew capsule from the booster. Separation is complete. There goes the booster. Again, you're watching live from West Texas, our 8th mission in this New Shepard test program. We've confirmed separation. In just a moment here, you're going to be able to see the 2 distinct craft. So we're just waiting for apogee here. You're going to see we're going to hit apogee because that's when, in fact, the speed goes to 0. And then, of course, it's going to start to speed up as the craft come back down to land. There you see the 2 craft, the capsule on your right, the booster on the left. Mannequin Skywalker up there getting some beautiful views. We're not going to let him out of his seat today. But you know he's getting to see the beautiful limb of the Earth out of those gorgeous windows. Again, second flight of that crew capsule with the windows. And now we're awaiting our apogee call. 347,000 feet. A beautiful ride so far for the capsule and the booster. Everything is looking nominal. $347,000 feet, just about 20,000 feet over the Kármán line, or 100 kilometers, the internationally recognized line of space. All right, now the capsule and the booster are racing back home. The capsule is going to land just a bit after the booster. The booster, of course, is more aerodynamically shaped. The booster shortly here is going to hit atmospheric pierce point. So that means that's when the control surfaces are actually going to have some air pressure to be able to work against to guide the rocket back to its landing pad. So I'm hearing from the control room that we might have actually hit our goal of 350,000 feet, but we will confirm that after the launch. Either way, a beautiful launch so far for the team. All right, those wedge fins at the front, on the forward section of the rocket have deployed. Those, again, are helping the rocket in its stabilization as it comes back into land. Shortly here, we're going to have the drag brakes deploy, and you can follow along on the right side of your screen and watch how it dramatically cuts the speed of the rocket as it comes into land. There go the drag brakes. Watch that speed come down on the right. Boom! We heard the sonic boom down here in Texas. Engine relay confirmed. Touchdown! Touchdown! Welcome home, New Shepard. Beautiful landing. All right. It's not over, though. All eyes are on the capsule. Look at that gorgeous window there. All right, so we're first waiting for the drogue chutes to come out. Those are kind of like the guiding parachutes. They are followed shortly by the mains. And after full inflation, the capsule will come in at a nice, steady 15 or 20 miles an hour for a smooth descent. There go the 3 drogues. And there go the mains. And nice, clean inflation. And look how the speed comes down just at about 16 miles an hour. I can only imagine the view that Mannequin Skywalker has out of those windows as he slowly descends into the valley here in West Texas. So just as a reminder, in the last milliseconds, we're going to have the retro thrust system fire. It's going to kick up the dust, but really the capsule comes in at just about 1 or 2 miles an hour, so it's a nice, smooth landing. All right, we're at about 1,000 feet above ground level. $500 feet. And touchdown. Beautiful soft landing for our crew capsule. What a beautiful mission down here in West Texas. Woo! Congratulations to the Blue Origin team. Another spectacular test mission. It looks nominal from here. There is the rocket back on its landing pad in the crew capsule, sitting nice and pretty in the West Texas desert. What a day. All right, so now our recovery team is preparing landing safety operations and recovery. You know, if you're an astronaut on board the capsule, you get to hang out with your friends for a couple of minutes, high five, and just enjoy a few minutes of reflection from your life-changing ride up to space while our team comes to pick you up. The adrenaline would be pumping. I know it is still for me down here, just having watched that. Wow. All right. Another great mission for our New Shepard team. Again, this was the 8th mission to space in our New Shepard test program. What a day. All right. We're going to have some statistics from the mission here for you. Max altitude of the capsule, 347,000 feet, although we're going to confirm after the webcast here with our team the max altitude. Max ascent velocity, 2,200 miles per hour. Mission launch time, 12:06 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And the mission elapsed time, 10 minutes and 19 seconds. All right. On behalf of the hardworking Blue Origin team at Blue Origin, thank you so much for joining us. It's been quite a day for us. If you're interested in learning more about the New Shepard program and everything that we're up to at Blue, please go to our website, sign up for our email updates. And until our next exciting launch, Gradatum Ferociter.